Hotly anticipated by fans, Godzilla Minus One arrived in theaters in 2023, to much fanfare. Receiving almost universal acclaim, with critics and fans claiming it was the best movie of its kind in decades, and garnering an Academy Award for its special effects, Godzilla Minus One is deserving of some praise, but is also underwhelming in many ways. Taking place in Japan, right after the end of the Second World War, the film tells the story of a traumatized kamikaze pilot, who is racked with guilt for failing to fulfill his duty during the last days of the war. When Godzilla, a mythical monster of unknown origin re-emerges from the sea, scarred and transformed by the atomic bomb, the pilot has to face his fears, and go on one last mission to save Japan from the seemingly indestructible monster. It's apparent from the beginning, that Godzilla Minus One isn't very original, in story, design, or execution. It's well crafted, and visually interesting, but it is also highly flawed. The main character, a walking wounded figure, is an extremely uninteresting character, who spends the entire running time crying, screaming, or sulking. Not exactly the stuff lead characters are made of. And although it's clear that writer-director Takashi Yamazaki wants to tell a story about the always voguish topic of trauma, centering the story on a sullen, psychologically scarred man, makes for a jarring viewing experience for a film with Godzilla in the title. Which brings us to the main problem with the film. Godzilla Minus One isn't really a monster movie. It's a war movie, obsessed with post-war trauma, Japan's guilt-ridden past, emotionalism, and misery-mongering. From the first scene to the last, the film moves from one dour situation to the next, with stilted, portentous dialogue, and not a hint of humor, forgetting that, after all, a Godzilla movie can be about many things, but its most fascinating aspect is always Godzilla, and the awesome destruction he inflicts on his town of choice. But Godzilla Minus One is all about the horrors of nuclear war, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and it deals with these issues with a self-importance bordering on pretentiousness, and adds nothing new to 70 years of mythology. As these issues have been dealt with before in various Godzilla movies, and dealt with in a better, more subtle fashion. For better or worse, this is Godzilla for the mainstream/awards crowd. More Spielberg than Toho. But does the movie get anything right? Yes. Godzilla has never been scarier or angrier. And he's depicted as a true force of nature gone berserk. And how cool and moving it is to hear the original Godzilla theme from the 1954 movie again. But for fans looking for good old monster mayhem and escapist entertainment, look elsewhere. Godzilla Minus One isn't much fun.